In this video, I'm going to show you how to use common household nails to create stunning collage papers. Hello, my name is Catherine Rains. I'm a mixed media collage artist, and welcome to Tune In Tuesday, where I share weekly art demos to expand your mixed media toolbox. If you see value in my videos, I would deeply appreciate a thumbs up, and if you would subscribe to my channel. Links for all the supplies to make these papers are down below under Show More, and while you're there, you might want to also check out my free 5-day class where I show you how to use all the papers made during Tune In Tuesday to make fabulous collages the very first try. So let's get into creating stunning collage papers with nails. So this is where we're headed today. We are going to make collage papers with nails. I saw this done by someone on Instagram, and they were doing it very differently. They just kind of threw nails down and created all these abstract designs and then colored them in. So I thought it'd be really cool to actually use these as the designs themselves. So that's what we're going to do. And as always, I am choosing papers week after week that I think would fit together into a collage. So I pick 5 different collage papers. This is number 3 out of 5. And after I do 5 different papers, then I show you how I fit all 5 papers into one collage. So every now and then, of the 5 papers, I need something that's a little quieter. And this has less action, certainly less color because it's black and white. And I just think this would look really beautiful as a quieter element on a collage. That's why I chose this particular one. So let's talk first about what supplies you need. So obviously, you need nails. So I raided a big nail bin that my husband had and got all kinds of nails. You can also use thumbtacks, by the way. I didn't find them to work as well, but they actually did create designs as well. So I got a wide variety of different nails and experimented with them. So that's the most important thing here. You can do this on any kind of paper. I'm gonna do this today on 28-pound copy paper, which is what this is. I also have some old book pages, but really it would work on any kind of paper, which is really nice. You want acrylic paint. You could also use any kind of ink. I just started playing with ink this afternoon and found out that worked really well as well. You want some kind of dish to swirl your nails in. So I've got little Petri dishes, which I'll have a link to, but you could just use a plastic cup, would be fine. And tweezers are a really useful tool for this. So this took some experimenting to actually get papers that I liked. Let me show you the first ones I did. So I was actually following this one Instagram post I saw where the guy or woman just threw down a whole bunch of nails and then see what happened. And this is kind of what I got, just kind of a mishmash. Then I got a little quieter, kind of overlapping things, and I just don't like them as much. And by the way, that doesn't mean these wouldn't make good collage elements. Like I think this is a really interesting abstract thing right there. So if I just kind of cut that right there, that might be really actually very beautiful. So I might try some more, just kind of throwing them down and seeing what happens. But for today's demo, I'm going to do a little more controlled, like I have right here. So I'm going to show you at least 3 or 4 different ones using different size nails. The fun thing about this is almost anything works. Now, just so you know, I'm putting down, this is a lid to IKEA. It's a Krugus box. I found these work really well to hold the paper down. And I'm just going to put a tiny bit of tape right there. So first thing is you need some paint. So I put a couple different paints out here. This is pure Nova acrylic paint. It's in black. This one is acrylic ink, my Liquitex. So it's very, very liquidy. So I'm going to start with the black because that's what I've been playing with. And basically, I'm just going to take different size nails and see what happens. So I drop the nail. Now, by the way, this paint is actually liquefied down. I'm going to dab off some of this ink because otherwise you get kind of a lot of blotting. And you just kind of start it. By the way, the reason it's really good to put it in a container like this is because I could twirl this around, but if it starts moving, just by moving the actual container, the little box. You can use a box lid would work really well. I just happen to have, so I'm going to show you without blotting this, show you what it does. So there's a lot of ink on here, which really paint. And as you can see, a lot of it comes off, which by the way, I actually think is kind of cool. And the more times I do this, I get kind of a shadow effect. And you can get kind of like extra rings going. So my preference is to get a little bit of that ink off, or I should say paint off, before I do this. But, you know, having a little bit of ink come off, I think is part of the magic of this. And the fun thing is that you get to experiment with all different size. So this particular nail right here gave me this design. So it takes a little bit of time. So I'd have to, you know, go through and put this down for each one of these, but that would be the end result. So I'm going to finish this particular one off camera, and let me start another one. We'll do a book page one, tape this one down. So let me try another size nail. Now this one is a long nail, and this gives a completely different effect than the first one. So I'm going to drop it in the black. Again, I'm going to I can just dap it, you know, tap it right in the jar itself, lay it down, and then now it's interesting enough, this didn't have enough ink on it, enough paint. Let's see if we can do it again. Try it again. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Well, even then, it came off really fast. But this particular nail has an inside ring, because the actual end of this, we can see this in the camera, has a little bit, it's almost like a nail head with ridges in it. So it gave me ridges. And this particular paper gave me this end result. So this little ridge here was what I'm getting right here. And you can see this wasn't a full circle either. So the ink came off pretty early on. Sometimes I had more ink, but it just gives a very beautiful abstract look to this. Now, I want to try the same thing. I'll take this one off. You know, I'll finish these off camera because they take a little bit of time to do, because you've got to be patient in adding the inks. I'll put another piece. This is just copy paper, 28-pound copy paper. Tag this down just so the paper stays still. Now, this looks like the same kind of nail, but it's actually, I think this is really technically a screw. So let me put this is in the acrylic ink. I haven't actually tried this particular screw in using this ink, so let's see what happens. And we'll try it with the black, because there's, you know, different inks and paints, you get different results. See what happens with this one. Now, you know, what I'm getting here is kind of a double ringed effect, which I think is also pretty cool. So let me see, put one more here. Now, goes off the page. All right, so this was actually, if I take this little, nail right there and put this in here, because there's a big open spot here, I can actually make a second ring inside of this, which I think is cool. Now that is exactly what I did with this one. So it was a double ring, a big ring, and then I put little ones on top of it. So it takes just a bit of experimenting to see how many rings you want. This doesn't look like much, but if I kept doing it, I would have many rings. But when I put too many rings, then I don't like it. For instance, like this, I just kept going, putting ring after ring after ring, and I just don't think I could use that as a collage piece of paper. However, if I look at it like this, I just cut that little piece off. That may not be true. I mean, I actually probably could use, like right there, I think that right there might be a really interesting piece of collage fodder. So, you know, it's kind of hard to tell exactly how some of these are going to come out. So this may not look like much. However, if I kept adding more to it, it would be really quite stunning. So let me do one more with a different kind of nail. This one is actually a really fat screw, which I think is a really stunning, it's a stunning piece of art supply. So roll that around, so I got lots of ink on it. And this produces something very, very different than the other ones. Okay, so let's lay this down. The tweezers help a lot. And this gives me a really thick one, which I really think is beautiful. This is the one I showed you a second ago that was too busy for me. But if I am a little more, not quite so ambitious with adding so many rings, I think I'm going to like this quite a bit. Yeah, so now I'm liking this. I just gotta be careful not to add too many rings to it, or it just makes it, to me, busy. Although the first one I showed you, which was, I think this one, even though this one looks like a mess, I'm thinking a couple little, oops, of course I just get my inky hands on this. I think this little square right here might be really cool. So, put this down. Someone told me on Instagram yesterday, they thought I was using magnets to twirl this around. And it does look like that if you edit out the fact that I'm actually placing these deliberately down here. Now that's interesting. So I got double rings here. We'll do one more. So now this is, because this is not so busy, this is actually an interesting piece of collage fodder to me. But the question is when to stop, because of course, you know, I just want to keep going. Yeah, I kind of like that a lot. Kind of like that a lot doesn't sound really good. Because it's not, I wouldn't say it's my absolute favorite collage paper. But you know, when you're choosing collage papers and you're making them, you also need things that aren't quite as loud or have as much color in them. So that's why I like, you know, for Collage Joy in particular, at one point in the very beginning, you'll make neutral collage papers and neutral collages. So I like having a selection of neutral collages. So this right here is the same as this one, except this one just feels much more busy because I overlap them. And maybe that is your aesthetic and you might like that. But like that right there, that little corner, that actually I like a lot, even though it's really overlapped. Although I'm getting my dirty hands on this. Or that right there, like that little piece would be a beautiful piece of collage fodder. So that kind of makes me think, maybe I'll layer some more on this. But because I don't think there's ever a time when there's enough, I'm gonna put one book page down, do one more, because I'm kind of enamored with this dark blue. I just started experimenting with it right before I came on camera. So I'm gonna pick a nail that I haven't used before, because I'm telling you, every nail does something different. So I'm gonna throw this in the pie here. And again, this is just Liquitex acrylic ink. Look at that, I got black. I hate that my hands are, so I use a tweezer to see if I can, see? You need more, you need more. You need to make sure, that's why I was using black. I'm gonna put this in black instead. The black paint seems to take better, like it stays on better. Like, yeah, I get more off. And there's a triple ring there, which I think is pretty cool. Let's try one more. Yeah. So it's just fun experimenting with all the nails you have. I'm gonna try blue again because I'm kind of I'm liking that blue. I just didn't have enough ink on it, and the ink comes off really fast. So let's see. Yeah, if I just kept playing, we'd get something there. Okay, we're done with that. Okay, so thank you for joining me for Tune In Tuesday, and I look forward to showing you another paper next week. Bye-bye.